Okay, good afternoon once again, and thank you for joining the Minnesota Avenue Main Street Grants Information Session 2021. Today, I will start off by introducing myself. Then I will go over the 2 business grants that we have available. And then I will share with you some grant ready tips for you to help you prepare for this application, as well as other applications that you might apply for. And then we will end with Q&A. For quality purposes, we ask that you leave all questions to the end of the presentation. So my name is Samantha Archibald, and I am the program manager for the Minnesota Avenue Main Street program. The Minnesota Avenue Main Street program consists of approximately 68 businesses located along the Minnesota Avenue Main Street commercial corridor in Northeast DC. The Minnesota Avenue Main Street program is a special initiative of the Washington Area Community Investment Fund, also known as WACIF. The boundaries for the Minnesota Avenue Main Street program extends from East Capitol Northeast to Nannie Helen Bureau's Northeast in Washington, DC. Funding for the Minnesota Avenue program is provided by the DC Department of Small and Local Business Development, also known as DSLBD, who oversees the DC Main Street program. Today, we will be discussing 2 grants, 2 small business grants available to Minnesota Avenue businesses. One is the 2021 Minnesota Avenue Main Street Small Business Resilience Fund, and 2, the 2021 Minnesota Avenue Protect and Safety Grant. There are 2 grants available, but there's only 1 application. We have provided a link to the application in the chat for your convenience. Applicants must indicate which grant they are applying for funding assistance. We ask that you read the program overview for each grant, and you review the eligibility criteria for each grant, and then select one grant you wish to be considered for. Next, I'm going to go over the grant program eligibility criteria. Grant funds will be awarded to small businesses based on the following criteria. 1, you must be a business located within the Minnesota Avenue Main Street boundaries. Businesses must check your geographic eligibility for assistance. What I'm going to do right now, I am going to pull up what's called the DC Main Street lookup map. And with that, I am going to show you how to use the DC Main Street lookup map to locate your business. So this is the DC Main Street lookup map. For example, I am going to input a business address. I'm going to put 4058 Minnesota Avenue Northeast. And as you can see, the map brings up an accurate business address based on what you input. So I'm going to enter it here. And what you'll see is that 4058 Minnesota Avenue is located within a DC Main Street corridor. And in this case, the DC Main Street corridor is Minnesota Avenue Main Street. There are approximately 26 DC Main Streets located in Washington, DC. So if you're on this call today and your business is not located within the Minnesota Avenue corridor, it might be located within another Main Street corridor. That's why it's important that you use a DC Main Street map to look up your business address. If it is located within another Main Street corridor, after this call, I am more than welcome to forward you an email to the DC Main Street Director for that respective Main Street corridor where you're located. Okay, so we will continue with the presentation. Please hold as I pull up the presentation. Okay. So after you have verified that your business is located within the Minnesota Avenue Main Street corridor, these are the other eligibility criteria. You must be in good standing with the District of Columbia. You must be a small DC-based for-profit business with an active DC business license for that location. You must also have a clean hands certification, a DUNS number, and an active general liability insurance. As a courtesy to, as we indicated, we went through the steps. We were able to go through the DC, we were able to visit the DC Main Street locator map. We entered a business address to verify how it works. And the map will tell you which DC Main Street your business is located in. So we did do that. So next, what we have provided for you as a courtesy for attending this information session today is a great grants checklist that you can use as a resource when you're applying for grant funds. So what we're going to do at the conclusion of this presentation, we are going to email a PDF copy of this grant list for you to use to apply for this grant and for future grant applications. So I'm going to go through each step on a checklist. So the first thing that you should do is what we've already done, which is to verify that your business is located within the DC Main Street program by using the DC Main Street lookup map. The second thing is that you have to verify that your business is in good standing status. And how you do that, you have to check with the IRS, the Office of Tax and Revenue, OTR, with the district, as well as the Department of Employment Services, also known as DOS. The second thing you have to do, you have to obtain a clean hands certificate from the DC Office of Tax Revenue, OTR's Compliance Administration. We've provided a phone number as well as an email address for you to contact them. Basically, for those of you who are not familiar, a clean hand certification, it basically certifies that you do not owe the DC government any money over $100. The fourth thing you have to do is you have to be, as I mentioned before, you have to be a small business, small DC-based for-profit business with an active business license for that location. Again, in that document that we're going to provide you at the end of this presentation, you will have all active links in that document that will take you directly to the respective agencies listed on this checklist. Your business must also have a DUNS number. Your business must also have an active general liability insurance coverage. In addition to that, one of the grants mentioned today is the Small Business Resilience Fund. With this grant, we are actually requesting additional evidence of site control. For example, if you are a tenant who do not own the property and you are applying for grant funds, you must notify the property owner of your intent to apply for grant funds. In addition to that, other things that you should have available to you, but not necessarily for this grant, is financial documents. You should also have at your convenience, financial projections for the next 12 months of your business. You should also have a project description, budget, and timeline if applicable. You should also have financial statements, which include income statements, and balance sheets for the last 3 years for the business and all affiliates. Other things to have on hand is an interim business financial statement that is current within the last 90 days of applying. And the last thing is a business plan. If the business have been in revenue generating operation for at least 3 years, you should have a business plan. Again, some of these things are not applicable to this particular grant, but these are things that you should have. There's a lot of grants that have been released over the past year during COVID. And these are the things that you should have in your possession. If you don't have them in your possession, we encourage you to either contact ourselves, the Main Street program. We can also refer you to our business technical assistance advisors with the Washington Area Community Investment Fund, and they should be able to help you with some of these things. We can also refer you to a consultant if you do not have someone to help you with these documentations. In addition to that, if you need any additional assistance with navigating the DC process, we will refer you to DCRA. That is the best organization that we think, the best DC agency to help you with navigating the DC business landscape. Okay, so now we're going to get into the 2 funds that are available today. The first one is the 2021 Minnesota Avenue Main Street Small Business Resilience Fund. It is an initiative to help small businesses along the Minnesota Avenue commercial corridor prosper in place. Grant funds include grant funds, so you can use grant funds for the following things, but are not limited to: working capital to help existing businesses adapt to their business model and to meet changing customer needs. You can also use grant funds for financial assistance, and it's available to small businesses, including stores and restaurants, to help with business disruptions. Also, if you have experienced any significant financial losses as a result of the past district finance capital infrastructure projects, you are also eligible for funding as well. We are also encouraging businesses who have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition, if you are a tenant applying for grant funds, you must receive consent from property owners to be eligible for certain projects. For example, if you're looking for funds to help with tenant fit outs or any exterior building improvements to the outside of your building, or any improvements to the interior of your building, you need to receive consent from your property owner. What we are asking from all applicants is that you submit a proposed scope of work, a budget, and a schedule with the final grant application to receive approval. Once you submit your scope of work and budget and schedule, myself, the program Main Street manager, will follow up with you to review what you are proposing to do. Once we have decided on what you would like to do, we will follow up with a signed contract agreement that has the approved scope of work and the award amount. So some of the following guidelines for the Small Business Resilience Fund is that you must submit a complete application with all the supporting documentation. And so we have 2 grants, as we indicated. There's the Minnesota Avenue Main Street Small Business Resilience Fund, and there's the Protect and Safety Grant. Applicants must select 1 grant per application. Applicants cannot submit 2 separate applications for both grants. Applicants are only eligible to apply for 1 grant and not to 2. We're trying to reiterate that because we don't want any confusions. There's 1 application, but you can only select 1 grant per application per business. Interested applicants should contact myself, the Main Street manager, to determine eligibility if you have any additional questions. You can schedule a business consultation with myself, and we can review your application and what you would like to do in more detail. So as I mentioned before, if you are submitting for the Small Business Resilience Fund, you have to submit a project scope of work and a budget, as well as a schedule. Do not get intimidated. We're not asking you to create like an extensive project schedule. All we're asking you is to indicate what you want to do and the time frame. So if you are proposing to, for example, install security guards in your building, you can indicate that and include the timeline. You project that the project will start in May and will be completed by July 2021. It's that simple. It's not complicated. In addition, we are asking that all grant recipients complete and submit all paid invoices to the Main Street manager no later than July 31st, 2021. And you will receive an email that explains how to go about doing that. So you don't have to worry about that right now. Everything that we are requesting of you right now will be provided in an email. Okay, so the next grant that's available is the 2021 Minnesota Avenue Protect and Safety Grant. The Protect and Safety Grant provides Minnesota Avenue Main Street small businesses whose normal operations were disrupted by COVID-19, includes restaurants, brick and mortar retail, personal care, and personal grooming services businesses. Grants are available up to $1,000. And the goal is to help to reduce the risk of COVID-19 spread for safety and health related equipment purchased, technological services, and training. So if you have expenditures or projected expenditures that goes towards safety, health, and related equipment that you purchased, any technological services that you may have purchased it. For example, if you are a retail businesses, a restaurant, for example, and you had to pay for Uber Eats, for example, that's something that we could help reimburse or help you cover. Also, if you, in regards to training, if you are, for example, a nail salon, and you had to, and your staff had to complete additional safety training as a result of COVID, that's something that you can also pay for through this grant. As well as PPE equipment. If you had to buy hand sanitizers, face masks, and any of those things to help protect your staff, as well as customers, you can also use this grant to pay for those things. So the goal of this program is to create a safer and healthier work environment and reduce the risk of exposure to the COVID-19 pandemic for Minnesota Avenue Main Street small businesses. So here you have some expenses that are eligible, as I indicated before. So some examples include PPE equipment, cleaning and disinfecting materials, air filters, for both exterior and interior lighting. Also, if you purchase building materials to protect your store from vandalism and theft during the protests or during DC government shutdown, those are all things that would be eligible for the Protect and Safety Grant. Eligible technological services include, for example, e-commerce. So again, if you had any expenses that was related to online orders or delivery fees, that's also covered. And as I mentioned before, if you had to train any of your staff, and your training was COVID-19 safety training or any type of certification for staff, those expenses would also be eligible through the Protect and Safety Grant. Okay, so I wanted to provide just some additional examples of what that meant. So for example, again, if you are purchasing engineering controls and other materials to protect your employees and customers, some of the examples include physical barriers, sneeze guards for restaurants, personal hygiene and grooming and retail and grooming items for retail businesses to help protect your customers from employees. If you had to purchase equipment for isolation rooms or other upgrades to ventilation systems, that also qualifies as well. If you had to purchase hand washing or hygiene stations and supplies, such as hand disinfectants, wipes, and soap, that would also qualify as well. If you had to purchase materials for conducting employee health screenings, such as touchless thermometers, that will also qualify as well. In regards to PPE equipment, if you had to purchase respiratory protection gowns, gloves, eye protection for your facilities, so especially facilities that are in close contact with customers or patients, that would also qualify. Again, and lastly, face coverings to include masks, face shields, and respirators. So we just wanted to give you some further examples of the things that would be eligible for these grants. Okay, so in addition to that, the funds can be used to reimburse small businesses for costs incurred or for the purchase of protect and safety equipment, materials, services, and training, as we mentioned. However, in order to receive full reimbursement, for those people who would like reimbursement for their costs, you have to submit adequate receipts and proof of purchases. All purchases and receipts should reflect purchases that were made after October 1st, 2021. The reason why this date is important is because our funds for 2021 starts October 1st, 2021. So if you have any expenses that you incurred prior to October 1st, 2021, we will not be able to approve you to use grant funds for those items. So as long as you made purchases or you intend to make purchases with these grant funds after October 1st, 2021 to date, you will be eligible to use these funding. Applications are accepted on a first come, first served basis, and grant awards are limited to one per company per business. So in regards to the application deadline, we have the first application deadline is Monday, March 29th, Eastern Standard Time at 4 p.m. Applicants will be notified of award decision no later than 1 week following the application deadline. If more funding is available after the first award phase, applications will reopen approximately 30 days after the first application award announcement. All pre-approved projects must be completed and all paid invoices submitted to the program by July 31st, 2021. Again, pre-approved projects, specifically projects that were pre-approved through the Small Business Resilience Fund that are not closed out by July 1st, 2021, may be in jeopardy of loss of grant assistance. If you have any issues that may arise that prevent you from completing a project within that time frame, please, we ask that you notify the program manager, which is myself, no later than 30 days prior to the agreed project completion date. So you basically have until July 31st to submit your receipts or to complete your project, to spend down your funds. If you anticipate that you will not be able to meet this deadline, please notify me at least 30 days before the July 31st deadline. So now this will conclude the end of the presentation, and I will open it up for questions and answers. So you have two options. You can either enter your question in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I will allow you to talk. Let me see here. Do anyone have any questions? Okay, I'll give it a couple more minutes for anyone who have any questions. Again, if you have a question, you can enter it in the chat box, or you can raise your hand. Okay, someone has a question. Will we receive an email with the information you provided? I came on late, my apologies. Yes. At the conclusion of this presentation, you will receive an email from WAKIF, and it will include the recording from the presentation, as well as a PDF copy of the grants checklist so that you can use to help with either completing this application or other grant applications. We are providing it as a courtesy because we realize that there's a lot of small businesses who, who don't know where to start. There's a lot of grants that are available right now. And if you can have this a quick checklist that you can use to refer to, that's what we want to provide to you today as a easy and free resource. What we would suggest is that with this grant checklist that we're going to send you, is that you create a folder or a binder, and each section of the binder would be entitled with each name. So for example, one section would be just for your clean hands. One section would be just for your business license and your certifications. So this is what we're asking for you to do to help organize yourself, because we know that it's hard to run your businesses on a day-to-day basis and still apply for these grants. So we're just trying to make the process as easy as possible to you. So please use the grant checklist for your convenience to help you with either filling out this application or for future applications. But yes, everyone will get a copy of this application and any supporting links that you need to help you with this application. Thanks for the question. Is there any more questions? You're welcome. I would also like to reiterate, we included a couple links in the chat. The first link is the link to the application. If you scroll up, you'll see it. It's entitled Application Link. The second link that we included is the DC Main Street lookup map. And again, with this link, you can click on it, enter your business or business's address in the search box, and you will be able to see if your business is located within the Minnesota Avenue Main Street corridor. It might be located within another Main Street corridor, but it's important that you do this first, because if you are not located within the Minnesota Avenue Main Street corridor, you will not be eligible for these particular grant funds. These grant funds are only for Minnesota Avenue Main Street businesses. And this map will help show the boundaries of the Main Street corridor. Again, the Main Street corridor is located on Minnesota Avenue Northeast, and the boundaries extend from East Capitol Northeast up to Nanny Helen Boroughs Northeast. So does anyone have any more questions? I am going to share my screen again. This is my contact information. Again, My name is Samantha Archibald. I am the program manager for the Minnesota Avenue Main Street program. I have provided you with my email if you would like to email me for further questions. I also would encourage you, if you are a Minnesota Avenue Main Street program and you're on this call today, that you visit our website at www.minnesotaavenuemainstreet.org. It has a lot of information about the Main Street program and what we do. But as always, you can always reach out to me directly if you have any questions. If I don't have any questions, I will be more than happy to refer you to the right people. Again, the Main Street program, we are a special initiative of the Washington Area Community Investment Fund. The Washington Area Community Investment Fund is a CDFI, a community development finance institution that provides small business technical assistance as well as financing in the form of loans to small businesses. We service all small businesses within the DMV, so DC, Maryland, and Virginia, but we focus on small businesses of color. So if there's no other questions, I thank you for joining this information session today. I hope it was helpful and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.